How would you live your life if you knew you'd be guaranteed to get a free 4K Wow month every month for the rest of your life? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1, I'd continue working and use the 4K to become debt-free over time, which would take less than a year as I don't have a huge debt load. Once I was debt-free, I'd start saving, investing the 4K until I had enough to buy a nice little house in the location I'd love to live. I don't know if I'd ever quit working until retirement, but if I didn't, I'd use the 4K to max out retirement contributions every year until I retired. I don't know if it's a smart plan, but it's a plan. Story 2, I would sell my small business and go work doing something that would involve me being able to clock out that had minimal responsibilities part-time. I just paid off my house. I drive a reliable, cheap paid-off car. Kids go to state colleges. This would be nice. Story 3, I would write down a list of things I want that are far less than 4K and then get those things. The remaining money I would split into fourths, with 1 punch or fourth for on the spot and short-term spending, 2 punch or fourths going to savings, and the last 1/4 for investments. I'd keep this budgeting for every 4K I get a month thereafter the first month. Story 4, I probably wouldn't change anything about how I live, TBH. I'm currently in med school, so right now that would cover 100% of my living expenses and maybe like 35% or so of my tuition, which would be great. Would also probably allow me to pay off the rest by the end of residency. But after that, it wouldn't represent a very substantial percentage of my income. Story 5, I'll buy a second-hand car. Everything will remain the same. I'll grind in my job, try my best to keep other expenses at current level. I'll save and invest the extra. It's my lifelong dream to drive a car down the highway with windows rolled down, fresh air in my face. With my family, I'll explore beautiful Canada. Story 6, that'd probably cut down my retirement plan by a ton. I'd stay about the same, pay off all debt, including mortgage, and then retire. My wife loves her job and it pays well. Between my current retirement planning and that guaranteed income, I just want to own my house outright before calling it a day. Story 7, earning that money without needing to do anything could change the life of anybody who doesn't cherish their job or wants to know the world. Almost everywhere in the world, you could live very comfortably with that. No need to work a regular job, free to do whatever you want. Even if you want to live in the US, pay your mortgage and find your retirement accounts, and don't give a about the rest of the world, 4K a month for nothing gives you a full 5 years Disney vacation every month, or your favorite cruise in the highest cabins, or just 100 USD meals per month with no cost to you. Of course, if you just choose to dump it into an ETF, nothing changes. But that says more about your lack of desires and imagination than about what that amount of money can do. Story 8, that's about what I make now. So much very differently aside from not needing to go to work. I could dedicate my time to bettering myself. Would I quit my job? I'm not sure, but I wouldn't need it. That's assuming we don't get hit with another inflation crisis, though. I'm assuming the 4K would never change. Story 9, 4K extra a month would be a huge boost. I wouldn't live my day-to-day life any differently, but it would go a long way in fixing things on my house, paying back my parents for a loan, eating better food, paying for a doctor and dentist visit. I could afford to get another dog. Story 10, I make roughly half that, so I wouldn't put off medical care, car maintenance, and all the other things that I'm currently leaving undone for lack of resources that are eventually going to blow up in my face and be a crisis of some kind. Story 11, I could have a good chunk of my debts paid off after a few months and could move into a cute little house with a yard. I would still work and just let the money stack up. Probably splurge more on activities and concerts and stuff more. Story 12. That's more than I make now, and I love in a LCOL area. So I'd quit my current job to find something I would actually like doing and continue spending at my current, already frugal rate while aggressively saving for a new home. Story 13. I'd travel a lot more. I've lived semi-nomadically for a while, but every so often I have to stop in one place and save up money before I can get on the road again. With a guaranteed income like this, I wouldn't have to stick around so long. Story 14, adjusted for inflation or no? If it's a flat 4KD, it's less than my wide, and I will bet from Social Security in about 6 years, and it is adjusted for inflation and still not enough to live in behind a very meager existence. You could probably live on that, but it's not a life I'd want. If I could add that to my existing retirement plan, though, I'd go ahead and retire now at 56 with the other savings and investments I have. Story 15. Probably travel around like a vagabond for a year. Pick a place to buy some land and buy it with the money I saved. Build a studio apartment on it and use the land as collateral to finance it. Pay that place off in a year or two. than just play video games and watch cartoons and eat good food every day from my garden. Really just mind my own business and live payment-free and save money. Maybe one day travel the world with the money I save. Probably avoid women because they make me sad every time I get involved with them. Never being good enough is exhausting, and this would be about my happiness. Story 16. Assuming we're talking 4K and whatever your local currency is, then I'd quit my job, or at least go part-time, and pursue something that makes me happy. I currently make a bit over 2K a month working, and I can get by fairly well, so 4K a month would let me live comfortably with no stress. Story 17. Buy Bitcoin cause with inflation in a decade, $4,000 a month will only buy like $1,000 a month now. It's the same issue boomers are finding with Social Security and how much they thought they would need to retire. Back 50 years ago, $1,600 a month was a lot and plenty to live on, but catch up to now and $1,600 isn't. That is how $4,000 will feel in another decade, because now we have massive global inflation starting. If they don't, then we will see outright full-blown real collapse of every government. So they will print and have to do austerity. It's rip the Band-Aid off time now, and for a short time, it will be very hard. So I want to put that money into something that beats the hurdle rate, and the only thing I see that will do that is Bitcoin. Story 18. I had to convert it to yen, and that's not even double what I make, and my salary is considered so low here in Japan. I would just keep my job, maybe move to a slightly bigger apartment, but that's about it. Story 19. Exactly the same. I would just save $4K a month more for retirement and hope to get to retire years earlier than I likely will. Edit. I might just pay my house off faster. $4K a month off would dramatically increase the speed of paying it off. Story 20. I retired from the military. I get a free $4K and a little more for life. I simply stash that away between my savings and brokerage every month. Sometimes a little of it is used to offset extra spending that month, but overall the money just goes into savings. I'm 43 and plan to work to at least 55, but I don't think I want to work much longer than that. I want to die jobless, and I want the ability to give my kid a lot of money for whatever this world is cooking up. Story 21. Keep working, but cut back sooner. After closing on a home and locking in a retirement account, I'd probably feel secure enough to start a family knowing I could afford it. Probably feel the need to quit working on the weekends and maybe try to teach the next generation, as they're in for an interesting time to be alive. Story 22. I'd save to get into a newer house with less maintenance issues, even if it was a case of saving to buy one instead of renting. I'd also save to replace my aging car, pay off my HECS and credit card debt, and look into spinal surgery, as what I need is elective until my condition worsens considerably. After all that, I don't know, probably not much different than now. Story 23. That's not a lot of money to me, TBH. Sometimes I pull 2x this amount from day trading on the side, so not much would change, except maybe a free mortgage and groceries. I guess I could work slightly less and just save all or most of my wages. I'm sure it's a lot to some people, so I answered honestly, knowing I'll probably get hate for it, but it's a fraction of my salary. Story 24. I'd be able to afford nice things. $4 would pay all of my necessities, my rent, utilities, food, etc. I could actually put money away for emergencies, vacations, retirement, saving for more expensive things like furniture or cars. I've only been able to afford a new bed once. Everything I've owned was often scrapped off curbs. Story 25. May probably would do the same as now and keep working. Take this money and accelerate my goal to retirement faster. I already make more than enough to live an okay life and save for my old self. 4K extra is gonna get me to a place where it makes sense to not work for money a lot faster, since really I'm also getting that 4K in retirement as well, so probably need a lot less than one would think to retire. Also, I might take a break if I lost my job and live in cheaper countries for a while. 4K at the end of the day is actually a decent amount of money for most places in the world. Where I live for my lifestyle, it's about maintenance amount, unless I significantly make some changes. Story 26, I'd live basically as I currently do, but actually finally be able to save for the things I want, like a house and such. Also, wouldn't worry that much about money, because I've got a full-time job's worth of income coming in for free. Who cares if I suddenly quit, have to, but a new car, need to go to the doctor, or WE. As long as it's within reason, I can handle it no problem. Story 27, I'd move to a lower cost of living area since my paycheck dropping by a third wouldn't make a difference when it comes to paying down my debt. I'd dig out of debt faster, drop to part-time work to fill up my retirement fund, start some risky investments, and see if I can get lucky enough to retire early and travel. Story 28, I'd focus on things that truly bring me joy and purpose. First, I'd invest in personal growth, learn new skills, take courses, maybe even explore creative passions like art or writing. I'd also volunteer and give back to the community, helping people in need. Financially, I'd prioritize making smart investments so I could live comfortably without worrying about money in the long run and set up a legacy fund to help others. It's not just about the money. It's about using it as a tool to live a life that aligns with my values and helps the world, even in small ways. Story 29. In the immediate future, travel the world for at least a few years and aim to invest at least 1K a month to hedge against inflation. After a few years, settle down in southern Italy and get a chill, socially oriented job, such as working in a quiet bar. I wouldn't end up being rich, but I've always been quite frugal and my tastes are inexpensive, so that would be fine with me. Story 30. Probably pay down my mortgage, put aside a few months' worth to upgrade things around the house, furnace, AC come to mind, and pay down debts. Between car and cards, I have about 7K, and mortgage is about 70K left. 2 years is enough to eliminate all debt, but I'd probably do the house upgrades first. Story 31. I'd move me and my son out of my parents' apartment, get our own apartment or townhome. I would homeschool him so he wouldn't have to keep going to public school that he hates. He and I are both ADHD. Public school is hell for a lot of neurodivergent kids. He told me today that when he becomes in charge, he'll tear down all the schools. Last year, I made $5,400. I can only work when he's in school. After school, he has therapy MTH. He can't attend before or after school as they can't implement his IEP. Haven't found anything that's 9-3, so I have to just work gigs which cover the bare minimum. Story 32. Same life I have now as a very disabled human being. Except finally replace all my worn-out clothes, all my worn-out furniture, replace my worn-out dishes, pans, appliances, and fill my fridge, freezer, and pantry full up with good food. Bonus, might, if I'm careful, afford an occasional assistant to drive me on errands and the like. Currently only leave building for whichever medical appointments I can't do on telehealth. Story 33. I'd get as much sleep as I need. I'd play video games as much as I want. I'd stream and make YouTube videos, even though no one will be watching my content. There's something about games that makes me incapable to stop thinking about it. Each and every single game has their own quirks, and it's so much fun to figure it out. Story 34. Well, RN, I make $2,600 a month, so quit. Use the $1,400 to pay off my debt. Should be done in around 6 months. At that point, transfer to my grad school in person, then use half to pay the house, half for the apartment tuition to graduate sooner. Once I graduate, work part-time and travel. My husband has said he'd never stop working, so he keeps doing his thing, and he's not much for traveling. So maybe I'd fly him out for a week, but he'd probably stay home, really. Story 35. I'm doing it now. I live frugally because I still have expenses, mortgage, car, etc., but I'm living comfortably. Health insurance is covered through my past employer, but if I had to deduct it from the monthly income, it would take a bite. Luckily, I can put off the need to insure myself for a few more years. Best part, I get to work on my hobbies, read and pursue my original writing. No more rat race, although I never expected to see America turn into a dictatorship. WTF. Be better if I had $5 6K or more, but I'm grateful for the guaranteed income. Sorry, I won't discuss the details of the payments. Story 36. That's actually a good question because it wouldn't be enough for most of us to stop working, though I could maybe survive short-term on $4K a month if I live super frugal. It would certainly give me an insurance policy for getting laid off and allow me to take more career risks. I would put half in the bank to beef up my emergency fund. The other half would go to max out my 401k Roth IRA. I'd continue to let my savings keep building because eventually I'll need a new car or furnace, roof, etc., and I can pay cash. My primary goal would be retiring early. Story 37, I would coach soccer, mountain bike, maybe even work with kids with cancer or help with Make-A-Wish. I'd work out every day and help anyone that wanted to learn. I'd probably start a podcast with all the people I helped or helped me and show the positivity in our human nature. Story 38, I currently live in a shoebox, so I'd definitely get a bigger place. My lifestyle wouldn't really change, but my collections and hobbies would explode. And because I wouldn't be working anymore and would have a lot more free time, I'd also go hiking and camping more often. I love the outdoors. Not much of a hunter, though. Story 39, touring the U.S. in an RV, doing stand-up, making podcasts, and attending library events, all while saving up for a decent house. I'd spend my free time, non-hobbies, by working out, eating right, and volunteering for meaningful civic duties, while just spreading good vibes and cheer from no longer having to be subject to the rat race. Story 40, invest it while continuing to work my day job. In measure 4 years, it'd be enough to put a sizable down payment on a rental property. I'd then rent that out and repeat the process. It would take less time since I am earning rent. After about 20 years, I could probably retire off of my rental properties plus the 4K a month. So, not much would change in the short term, but a lot would change in my mid and later years. Story 41, 4K na mo is 48 kim year. You could call it universal basic income. No one living on only that would be wealthy, but it would be enough that no one would have to live in complete poverty unless they wasted it all on wants instead of needs. We currently make several times that, but live pretty comfortably on a 50K-ish yearly budget because we want to retire comfortably and early. We'd probably keep our day jobs for now, save at least half of the monthly 4K, and increase our spending slightly, probably on travel, hobbies, home furnishings, and clothing. Story 42, I'd probably go back to teaching. I love being in the classroom, and that would be enough on top of a small teacher's salary that I wouldn't have to work extra jobs and would actually be able to be off in the summer. And enough of a safety net that I wouldn't have to feel like I was always watching my back with admin. Story 43, the same until all debt is paid off. I'd be able to pay off the car pretty quick at least, less than a year. After that, 70% into investing, stocks and bonds, 20% into fund money, 10% into the bank. Keep growing the money until I can finally afford the down payment for a house, then move where I want to move the family. Any fund money that doesn't get spent gets put into investing. After getting the mortgage paid off, maybe I'll retire and open a nice quiet business, like running a game cafe with 1,000 games on the shelves and a full liquor license and full kitchen. Get a couple of copies of Heroes Quest so people can learn to run a dungeon and get them hooked on DMing. Have a late night where I stay to play Star Wars RPG that someone else runs. Hire some people to run the card games like Pokemon. Reward kids in school who get A's and B's with a card pack or something. Just try to have fun as I'm getting older and try to let the geek rub off a bit onto the next generations. Story 44. Not very differently, I'm 32 years old, living in the Dallas area, working in IT. That would be about a 33% loss in my net income, and I would barely be able to afford my bills on that, so I'd have to continue working. If I got that on top of my work pay, I would save up to remodel my bathroom and kitchen. Story 45, I would probably move somewhere sort of cheap for a while, save up for a few years, enjoy my life, hike a lot, spend a lot more time outside. It isn't a ton of money per month, but it's enough to feel like you're not going to ever be homeless, and you could still do a lot of stuff with your free time. I'd probably play a lot of video games and travel, eat good food, etc. It'd be nice to have that sort of passive income to enable myself to just enjoy life a lot more. Story 46. Right now I'd save it after taxes because that's how you don't get busted. If this might not be legitimate, then that's about $50,000 per year, getting me closer to retirement, and I can even take some greater risks with my existing savings. If it's legitimate, then I'm retiring a few years earlier than I thought I had to wait. Story 47. Probably give a lot more to the people on the streets. I always pray to be abundant, but not only for myself, but to help others as well. Maybe many here don't believe in God, but I somehow never lack money, even if I give away more than usual some months. It would feel good to help some more people in need with that free money. Story 48. Basically exactly the same as I do now, just with a lot more security. Actually, honestly, I would probably eat out a lot more. That's the one big change. Not as good as home cooked when done right, but infinitely less energy needed. Other than that, I am already disabled, so I don't currently work. If I got healthy enough, I might happily go back to school to finally get my degree. What I wanted before I became disabled was to take a master's in library science and work as an archivist or researcher or something. That sounds amazing, but I don't know if I will ever be in a position to do it. Story 49. Oh my God, what an absolute dream. The thoughts are endless. First off, I'd quit my job and get one that I actually enjoy and am respected and treated well. One where I don't dread and have anxiety about going in every day. I'd buy my 2-bedroom apartment so I can feel happy and set it up the way I want and live my happy solitude home life. I'd get all the treatments I want done and not hold back so that I don't feel uncomfortable and self-conscious anymore. I'd be able to treat my parents all the time without worry as they deserve that and more. I think that's about it that would make me happily content. Story 50. Well, this would double my salary essentially. I'd put the money towards my grad program so I can pay out of pocket without loans. I'd also meet with a financial advisor to figure out how to reach my short, long-term goals, buying a home, retirement, moving across the county, etc. Initially, I'd also splurge a bit on some fun stuff that I couldn't afford previously. Story 51. I have 2 wolves inside of me. One is an internet-addicted gamer, and the other is an outdoorsy dude. So I guess I would try to find a nice little plot of land somewhere up north, closer to the mountains and great fishing places, build a nice little house and get fiber internet to the plot, then just game when I want and go out fishing or hiking or skiing when I wanted. I would try and build my house like your Vaskar in Skyrim, absolutely devious with it. Story 52. Will it be in dollars? If so, converting it to my local currency means I don't even have to work. I will just do whatever my passion is, earn whatever I will get from it, and make sure my parents and girlfriend gets whatever they want. She lost her father at an early age, so want to splurge on her what her father would have done for her. Story 53. That's roughly 4 times more than what I usually spend in a month on rent, food, bills, going out, etc. Would move all my into storage or at some friend's place, then travel around the world for a few years and enjoy life using around 2.53K per month and invest the rest so I always have some extra money just in case. 5 years later, I would still have 4K per month, but also seen 70K put aside. Infinite money glitch, LOL. Story 54, I'd change a lot of things. 4K a month is a lot money in the UK, so I'd be able to do a lot of work needed doing on my house. I'd be able to afford a new PC, be able to afford private health care for my disabled partner so she's better cared for. I'd probably start a small business or something to keep me busy and leave my current job. Story 55, does it scale for inflation? Currently, $4K a month would mean I'm just going to quit my job and retire at 25. I can live off half that. The problem comes later down the line if it doesn't scale. In that case, I would still retire, keep 2K for myself each month, and get a mortgage on a second house. When it gets to the point 4K a month is no longer enough, I rent out that house and live off the rent plus 4K. Story 56, I'd quit my job for a start and just spend more time doing the things I enjoy, but don't have enough time to do. I'd take my son out of nursery and spend far more time with him. I'd renovate my house a lot faster than the rate I'm currently able to do it. Long term, I'd probably restart teaching dance classes. With a guaranteed income, there'd be no risk moving into a job that often doesn't pay great. Story 57, I would change jobs and go into teaching, tutoring. When I was studying, I had a part-time job as a physics math tutor for high school kids. The pay was barely enough to cover my travel costs. I would do home visits, but it was so rewarding to see those kids finally understand concepts or even show me an improved grade. Probably wouldn't do it full-time though. I think maybe 20-30 HRWK, so I have more time to let my creativity out at home and do home DIY projects. Story 58, I would make games and give them away for free. Pretty much what I do now, only times being what they are. I think I'm going to have to start selling stuff. I think art is something that should be freely available to all who want it. So even on my very few paid games, I normally make known that if you can't afford the normally very affordable price game, I'll send you a free copy. I'd probably also run a professional TTRPG campaign several nights a week. I'd spend my money on living minimally, buying equipment and maintaining licensing fees, and paying young artists to expand their portfolio by working with me. Maybe I'd even get a slightly larger place and have a game store in it. Or maybe I'd do what I've been thinking about doing for years, getting a used RV and traveling the country between Arizona in the winter and Providence in the summer, where I'd have game stores as headquarters and places to stay for me and anyone else who wanted to form a self-sufficient nomadic caravan. In short, I would do all the things having to have a job currently limits me from doing. Story 59, get a job I like better and work less hours. Maybe no job, I get fulfillment volunteering or something. In time, buy my own place, with maintenance covered so I don't have to spend time doing that. Shop for better clothes, get my hair looking more beautiful, and improve my makeup skills. She'll look prettier thanks to makeup. Be healthier. Work out more often with my free time. Maybe a personal trainer. Maybe a personal chef since I can't cook tasty food. Vacation internationally. Make the money result in having more true friends somehow. Go to grad school or back to college for fun. Story 60. I think housing prices would immediately skyrocket as everyone tries to upgrade their quality of life at the same time, which sucks. Corporations would jack up prices just because they can. The $4,000 would disappear quickly into new normal pricing for monthly services. Nothing would ultimately change. Story 61, probably stay at my current job for another 4 or 5 years, save it all, and then retire 15-ish years ahead of schedule. 4K Arrarimo is not enough to live on with a mortgage from 2005, so it's only like $500 something mo, wife, and 2 kids, even in the relatively low coal area I live in. I make about 15% more than that now, take home after taxes, and we're still just barely getting by, especially with the way inflation is hammering our grocery costs. Story 62, pre or post-tax. In any event, the first thing to do is settle any and all debts, starting with a mortgage. If you haven't got one, and rent, bank the difference and build a deposit. Then get a mortgage, as the inflationary increase in house prices means is higher than the interest in a mortgage. For example, if house prices increase by 5% a year and interest is 2.4% a year, buy now and get a mortgage. After that, target credit card high-interest debt and split it with time-critical investments in your home. Also, unless the 4K increases by inflation, live under your means and be comfortable with it, so when inflation does hit the 4K threshold, you won't feel it. Time is important, and it's one of the things you don't get more of, so spend that wisely. Story 63, I would continue to live my life the same. I wouldn't quit my job and continue to work it. However, there would be some ripple effects. My diet would be healthier, as I could afford to eat better, more fruit and vegetables, more often to start. I would probably sleep better at night, as money's a pretty big stress point these days. Story 64. You'd focus on family, faith, and personal growth. With financial security, you'd invest in homeschooling, build a strong emergency fund, and explore meaningful work or ministry. You'd travel occasionally, give generously, and enjoy a balanced, peaceful life without the stress of unstable income. The freedom to live purposefully. Story 65. For $48K a year, I'd probably keep doing what I'm doing, but I'd sure be a lot less stressed about it. That's about what I make already, so I'd be much better off debt-wise, but I don't think I'd be going off the deep end and buying Lambos or whatever. Next theme. What's one thing you did that helped you lose weight? Story 1. I'm brutally honest about tracking what I'm eating. I don't feel guilt about what I eat. I don't feel that I need to earn food or that food is good or bad. I'm just honest with myself about how many calories I'm actually eating. I'm down 85 pounds. Story 2. I'm currently down 38 lbs and fighting a plateau. I've stopped eating crappy food for the most part. I miss my microwave burritos though. No sugar in my coffee, limiting my intake of treat foods, chocolate, my old nemesis. I miss you. Cutting down on carbs, eating more proteins and veggies. All of that being said, it's a daily struggle. I'm going to the gym 3 days per week and kind of hating every moment of it. But I want to be able to see my grandkids graduate, at least from high school, you know? That's my true motivator. Story 3. Being unemployed and having to deliver food on my bicycle and eat only russet potatoes and whey protein in order to make rent. RIO. Upside, I look sexier than ever, LOL. Downside, I can't go on dates with all the people that are now paying more attention to me because I have no money and all I have to feed them is potatoes and whey protein. Story 4. The year I had Invisalign was the thinnest I'd ever been as an adult. The change was only eating at mealtime and saying no thanks to anything but herbal teas when out and about, at parties, etc., as it was too much effort to take my aligners out. After some recent age-related weight creep, I've stopped eating after 6 p.m. during the weekdays, and I throw on a weighted vest when I walk to balance the calories in calories burned equation. I have lost a few lbs, and now my weight is stable again. I tend to eat intuitively and would like to continue to do so. Restriction is no way to live. Story 5. I went menopause at a very young age, 38, and I gained 60 carbs in a little over a year. Once I got treatment, I lost 40 pounds in a matter of months. If you think there may be an underlying condition, speak with your physician. Story 6. Portion control. And stop thinking of diets or cleanses or any of that bullshit. You make a new normal, and it starts by not eating so much in either quantity or frequency. Anyone talking about diets, detox, or cleanses are selling you bullshit. They make money because the previous diet, detox, or cleanse didn't work either. Story 7. Calories deficit. Average adult needs about 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. Stop removing things and add things that would help benefit your diet. You can opt for zero cal drinks or zero sugar. Need more protein? Add protein powder. It's all about the mindset. You don't need remove things from your diet. You will be miserable. Once in a while is fine. Think about what you can add instead of taking away, like pasta. Add broccoli or something to increase nutritional value. Rice. Add chicken to increase protein. Not all carbs are bad. You can add stuff to make them healthier. There's no quick fix, and not all these insane diets work for everyone. Also, walking and lifting weights help. Story 8. Counting my calories. 100% I tried a bunch of different type diets for years because I feared that counting calories would be super restrictive, but that ended up not being the case. The biggest eye-opener to me was realizing how much calories I was actually eating and how much calories certain things actually have. I started out just tracking everything I ate, then ramped the calorie count down as time went on. I'm not lying when I say that it was the easiest way to lose weight. This was in conjunction with going to the gym, but I've always done that. IMO tracking calories was the most sustainable way to get to the weight I wanted to be at, and now I'm just at a maintenance level. My only regret is that I didn't try it out sooner. Story 9, I'm going to be honest. Zep bound. I'm not obese fat, but considered heavy at 205 lb, keener 510, and having fatty liver problems. My doctor somehow got my insurance to pay for it. It's been life-changing, not just physically, but also mentally. I'm 179 level obese now and hitting the gym hard. I'm eating healthy as well because I eat so little now. Story 10. I started thinking differently about health in 2020. I was sick and tired of gaining and losing weight, and I wanted off of the diet roller coaster in the food and sugar addiction tracks. I decided to focus on progress, not perfection. Focusing on realistic, sustainable, and gradual progress helped me lose weight and keep it off. I slowly made changes, and when I failed, I didn't give up or categorize it as failure. Just part of the process. The result? Every time I've been weighed at the doctor, usually 2 times a year since 2020, I've lost weight. My weight loss may sound too slow or unremarkable compared to many who have quickly lost 40 pounds in 6 months. It's taken me 5 years to lose 40 points. I have 30 to go. My primary focus has been on sustainable, gradual changes that don't throw my body or mind into chaos. I once lost 44 pounds in 4 months by drastically reducing calories and doing a crazy daily workout. I looked and felt terrible, even thought I was losing 8. I looked older. I was exhausted and crabby because I was hungry and obsessed with food. I would watch diners, drive-ins, and dives to watch people eat because I was so hungry. I could feel my body screaming for food. It was unsettling. With slow changes, I don't feel like my body's in emergency mode. I feel terrific. This gradual, more peaceful mindset changed my life in many ways, and the weight loss is a byproduct of that mindset. Progress, not perfection, has worked for me. Story 11, I'll once again share this comment from UMass Kanakato 2 from nearly a decade ago that helped me lose 90 pounds. One of the most helpful things I read in my own weight loss journey was something like, it took you years to reach your current weight. It's okay if it takes you a long time to take it back off. Rather than try and overhaul your entire diet in one fell swoop, take small steps and be proud of yourself for achieving them. You have a lot of habits to unlearn. Be patient with yourself. Below are some steps you might take. Choose any order. Just remember, anything you do is a positive change. My suggestion for a first step, drinks. Do you drink soda? Track how many you have in a day. Cut back or go cold turkey. Consider a healthy intermediate. It's hard to go from soda to straight water. I personally use Crystal Light packets, chopped in mayo flavoring in water. Second step, fruits. Yes, vegetables are better for you, but you're not used to eating them. As a first step from processed stuff, fruit is an easier step. Add in a serving of fruit a day. Eventually, you can replace a snack with it instead. Remember patience. Third step, portion size. Without changing what you're eating, you can still cut calories by just eating a little less of it. Cut your portion in half? No way. Too big of a step, your body will complain, and you might not stick with it. You're making a change for the rest of your life. You're not temporarily depriving yourself. If you see it as temporary, then you're just trying to survive it, like punishment. You won't actually be learning a new lifestyle. Don't eat until you're so stuffed you have to loosen your belt. Eat until you're not starving. My best recommendation here is to find something engrossing to do between meals, a hobby, a good book, a silly addictive game. Sometimes we fill our lives with food because we forget to fill it with something else. Fourth step, cooking. This to many is the scary one. But remember, we're taking small steps, nothing too big. We're not going from 0 to 100%. Instead, you are going to cook maybe twice a month. If you're brand new to cooking, start very simple. Maybe chicken breasts in the oven, add a little mayo on top, garlic salt, cook until nice and bubbly with brown spots. Bake potatoes with a few toppings. If you're more experienced, try for a recipe you can hide veggies in. Maybe spaghetti with some shredded zucchini in the sauce. Each time you find a recipe you like, make a copy and stick it in a book. Add a brand new recipe each month and look inside your recipe book for inspiration. Fifth step, dessert. Stop making each day a special occasion. By now you're drinking more water, starting to cook, eating some fresh fruit each day. Maybe you've cut down on your dessert portion. Now it's time to lessen sugar's hold on you. This is hard. If you're an emotional eater, you can come up with many reasons why you deserve dessert this day. Start trying to think of non-food methods to reward yourself. Depending on how often you have dessert, every meal, cut down to 1 per day. Every day, try and cut down to once per week. Lower the amount you consume. Find small things to help replace them if you're having a hard time. Try sticking a container of yogurt in the freezer. Yum. Make a fruit smoothie, fruit milk, ice cubes, banana to sweeten, not sugar. Have a small pre-portioned piece of dark chocolate. Step 6, vegetables. Yeah, they're pretty scary. Start as small as you need to. Maybe some baby carrots smothered in enough ranch dressing you can't taste them. Add in some celery sticks. Steam some broccoli, then drench it with cheese sauce. Dressing and cheese sauce aren't very healthy, but we're training again. Once you're eating more vegetables, daily even, remember small steps. Might take a bit to get there. We can lower the amount of stuff we're covering the vegetables with. Try also some new vegetables, new cooking methods. Roast cauliflower in the oven with olive oil and garlic salt until brown. Try the same with asparagus, but also add Parmesan cheese. Steam some squash and add salt and butter. Try hiding some spinach in your fruit smoothies. You may surprise yourself and find there are some vegetables you now like. Step 7, lose the junk food. All of it? Yes. Maybe not right away, small steps if we need to, but the less of it you have lying around you, the less you'll eat. If you have some around, by now we've learned about portion sizes. If you slip a little, just look back at all the positive changes you've made and remember you're on a journey. Well, this all turned out longer than I expected when I first started typing. I just know the panic that can come when you see an overwhelming obstacle and how easy it is to not change, not try. I hoped showing you a path through might help, even just a little bit. We're rooting for you. Story 12, changing my drink habits to just water. Not a little beer, juice, or soda here and there, just water. Stop the "you have to finish your plate" mindset. Yes, throwing away food always sucks, but in the end, you don't win anything by overeating. It's still wasted food, with the difference that throwing it away doesn't make you feel sick. Some things are great as leftovers the next day, but the ones that aren't just go in the bin. Stop eating when I'm not hungry. I used to eat 3 meals a day and some snacks out of boredom. Now I usually just have breakfast, an apple or a small salad during lunch break, and a small dinner. But if I'm not hungry in the evening, I'll just skip dinner altogether and have an apple if I later do feel hungry. Your body knows when it's hungry. No need to feed it just for a routine. Don't buy crap I don't want to eat. Admittedly, the recent inflation has helped quite a bit here because I'm just too stingy to pay nearly €2 for 100 grams of chocolate. But if I don't have it, I can't eat it. Walk. I hate running and I don't have a lot of time for workouts, but I try to walk as many steps as possible, either instead of taking the car or just marching in place while brushing my teeth or cooking. Story 13. Hitting bottom like alcoholics say about booze. I was up to 400 with no sign of stopping. I was carrying my art project out of the camp bus and I missed the top step. I hit the dust from 5 feet up and directly on the gourd I had grown, carved and painted, crushing it to powder. I lay there for a while thinking, this is not working. I found OptiFast at Kaiser and began a 6-month 1,000 cal day medically supervised fast. I lost 5 lb week and returned to Burning Man at 2:30. I have kept it off for 20 years now, never above 260 cents. I switched from driving my car to riding my bicycle to work using Caltrain. 5 miles from station to work, so 10 miles were a day, 50 miles were a week. Still a battle, but that program gave me the skills to succeed. Ability to guess the calories on a plate. I know the vegetables, meats, breads, and fruits by caloric content now. A 3 or 5 card in my back pocket. I note down everything I eat, just enough to know what my daily total is so far, and I pull it out to help me decide if I can have that dessert. Story 14, Googled a calorie calculator to see how many calories I should be eating a day, then tracked everything on MyFitnessPal and planned most of my meals. Weighed myself every morning and watched trends week to week. Story 14, got diagnosed with official diabetes in December after years of being pre-diabetic. A1C finally popped over the 6.5 mark after gluttonous November Carb Fest. 6.6 A1C. Doc put me on trizepatide and said 15 g carbs max for breakfast, 15 grams for lunch, and 30 grams carbs for dinner. Think 1/4 of a bagel for breakfast worth of carbs. I've tried low-carb dieting before, but only last a week or two. I've historically been on an all-carb diet, noodles, bread, soda, etc. I could easily eat 4 bagels for breakfast. So, the trizepatide functioned to get rid of hunger pangs, allowing me to stick with the 60-gram carbs per day regime for the past 15 weeks. I'm down about 50 pounds from the start of trizepatide so far. I still have another 75 lbs to go, but I haven't been this light in about 20 years. I'll be in the carbo penalty box pretty much through the end of the year. Story 15. For anyone who is in the diet binge cycle, Years of practicing mindful eating and trying to deprogram the cycle really worked for me. I was obsessed with food and weight for most of my life, like literally 80% of thoughts sometimes. My desire to overeat was rarely driven by hunger, but mostly my mental state of food being some prized off-limit item to reason about. I did therapy, read some books, Brain Over Binge, Have Your Cake and Your Skinny Jeans Too, and just practiced for years. Now I kind of just eat what my body craves and stay at a healthy weight with no effort, which once sounded insane to me.